Alright folks, so here we are for another video with me, Stephanie Canada, on the channel Backroom Finds. You know, my channel. So, what I'm going to discuss today is what happens when you find glorious fabric that's brilliantly old, aka like 1940s, early 50s range, pointing behind me because that's the good piece. And maybe it's not as in good of shape as you had hoped. So this actually happened to me recently. This is 1000% true. I bought 6 pieces of this fabric thinking these are going to be glorious. All I have to do is clean them and then I can make a skirt, I can make a dress, and it's just going to be this glorious pink poodle. It'll have some of the discoloration that you see behind me, but that's not a big deal to me. I don't mind. I can cut around it and I have a 5-year-old, so a little bit of discoloration, it's just going to get worse anyway, so it's all fine. So I bought this fabric and I paid a little more than I should have. So, you know, there's that. But everyone makes their choices. And when I got it home, I was so excited. I was like, yes, I opened it up. I was really happy. I immediately, because it smelled to high heaven, I poured a lovely bath of restoration because that's the cleaning product that I use that is the safest on the most delicate fabrics. And I put it in the water and it shreds. And I cry. I'm not joking. I actually cried a little because it was very sad. And I figured at that point, screw it. I'm just gonna keep it and clean it and we're gonna see what happens. So I cleaned it up the rest of the way, and unfortunately, the pieces that survived are the one that's behind me and one other piece. The rest did this. That, my friends, is what we call dry rot. Dry rot, at a certain point. These curtains, when I got them, were very stained with water and clearly had sun bleaching, as you can sort of see here, where, because this is supposed to be pink, not pink, it's white. This is what happens when dry rot. It just completely destroys the fabrics. It's actually tearing along the design. So and it happened to 4 of them instantly. And I didn't really know what to do other than be sad and leave it in a corner for a little bit so that it could think about what it had done. I don't know, guys. Sometimes when this happens, it's just so overwhelming for crafters and sewers in general that you don't really... It just overwhelms you with all the feelings of, oh, there go all the dreams, and they die. So you have to kind of make peace with the previous dreams and then get creative. All right, I'm gonna put this away now because it makes me sad. So what I opted to do was take the fabric that was left of the shredded pieces. I haven't cut into the ones behind me because I really can't yet. I still don't know what I'm gonna do with them. So they're still sort of in timeout. Like I put my 5-year-old, they are in timeout because I do not know what to do with them. But I decided the shredded pieces were already pretty much garbage, so I could do with them whatever I wanted. So I just decided that my very barren walls in my new office needed some decoration. So what I decided to do was, for those of you that don't know how to do embroidery hoop wall art, I'll link a couple videos down below of some really fabulous crafters that show you how to make these in a much clearer fashion than mine is. But then you can come back and watch mine as to how to take destroyed fabric and implement their techniques. Because I didn't really do a DIY how-to portion. So what I decided to do with it, guys, is because I thankfully went to a costuming school also, because I have a theater degree. So I took about 2.5 years of costuming. I never got to the draping bit, so if I ever do a video on that, that will just be a watch this crap happen, cause it's gonna be a mess. But anyway, so if we get there, I'll deal with it then. But what I do have is I'll show you how I took my destroyed curtains and turned them into a lovely piece of wall art. Step 1. Iron the fabric so that it's nice and flat. Step 2. Use the hoops you have available and hover them over top of your designs. That way you can decide which one to use. Step 3. Trace around the outside edge of your hoop using whatever utensil you choose. I picked a pencil because it's what I had. And if you have better fabric, leave about 2 inches beyond the outer embroidery hoop to allow yourself more room to adjust. I was so tight to my embroidery hoop because of how bad my fabric is. Step 4. Pick out your backing fabric. At first, I thought interfacing that is fusible would be best. Thankfully, 2 very good friends of mine told me, don't do that, and I opted for a cotton linen blend, which is a modern scrap that I had lying around. On this scrap, I opted to leave a very wide margin, just in case I needed it. Step 5. Stitch down your decorative piece to your backing piece. I opted to use a running stitch because it's easy and that's not really what's going to hold it in place eventually. Step 6. Now you take your now backed piece of fabric and you put it into the embroidery hoop. When doing this, especially with dry rotted fabric, you need to be very careful that as you tighten the fabric, you're pulling on the backing piece and not the potentially dry rotted piece. Because the last thing you need is your fabric to be torn in two because you find out there's a line down the middle of dry rot that you weren't aware of. Thankfully, that didn't happen to me, but I did carefully monitor the situation as I was embroidering to ensure that I wasn't doing more damage to the fabric. So there are a couple things that I learned along the way. The first is I am terrible at embroidering away from my body. I am a top gifted lady, and thankfully that means that I have used those top gifts to embroider my entire life. I bring it right up and I use it like a little shelf. So embroidering away from my body for a camera was very difficult. The other thing that I wish I would have included is some contrasting embroidery. I opted to perfectly match everything that I wanted to embroider, which unfortunately means you can't really tell what the heck I did. Oh well, I still think it's very pretty, but sometimes I do far too well in the color matching genre, as it were. There are 2 steps that I failed at recording because I didn't realize my battery had run out. The first is where I finished embroidering and cut away the excess backing fabric. The second step that I forgot to show you guys was how I did that giant stitch along the back to get that cross star pattern you'll see here in a minute down when I show you the back of the embroidery. It really is nothing exciting other than just going 180 degrees, 360 degrees, whatever, directly across the way from each other and pulling it nice and tight, using only the backing fabric, never getting near the dry rotted fabric. So that's how I made the daggone thing. Now, I will say, the back, she ain't pretty. But, fun fact, I don't care. It's gonna go on my wall. So it's gonna be fine. Because this is the only side you're gonna see. So this is my completed project. Huzzah! Da-da-da! As I went through, I was very concerned about overworking the fabric. So I had all these grand desires to embroider the entire thing. And then as I kept going, I kept having like jerking moments of, oh God, I'm gonna tear it. Because there were times I put my needle in and I could see the fabric just start to go. And I'm like, nope, 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 we're gonna go somewhere else. So it's not a whole lot of embroidery, but it's pretty enough to go on my wall and to make a lovely beginning of the artwork that will start to be behind me when I shoot these videos. So you'll see a lot of her. I finished this project and I have 2 more pieces left to put into embroidery hoops. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the other 2 pieces of this, and I will embroider them lightly, just like I did this one, with picking a couple places like the cute little present or her bow again. You know, it won't be this exact pattern. And I figure let's do a raffle. So if you guys want to be entered into the contest below, go ahead and comment down below, tell me what you think, and if you guys would have a preference. I'll take the photos of the 2 that I have left, I'll put them over here so you guys can see what they are, and the winners will get to pick which one they want, and I will embroider it and I'll send it off to you. I hope y'all enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, and you want to see more like this, go ahead and click that subscribe button, and you can turn on post notifications with that little bell icon. I don't know how to put it into the shot. And if you liked what you see, go ahead and click that like button and tell your friends about me, cause let's face it, we all have a crap load of time on our hands. And if you're wondering why this beauty is sitting right next to me, you're gonna have to come back next time, because we're gonna be discussing survivor bias. I guess I should tell you where I got these from. All of these are found at estate sales, because I'm cheap.
She's not lying.
I don't pay full price for embroidery hoops because they're like candy. When you go to a sewing estate sale, they're everywhere, which is great because then I buy them. The back, she ain't pretty, but my husband's giving me the it's not high enough sign. There goes that better, Ned?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Why do I keep seeing DIY? Anyway, it is a DIY, but I'm just focused on small things today.
Distracted.
Yeah. Very distracted. Viral! Because I live in Orlando, where allergies are prevalent. Which is why I kind of sound stuffed up. Oh, and the microphone I got goes into an iPhone. Guess what, friends? I don't record on an iPhone. Don't say dumb. It's fine. It's fine, let it go. In case y'all are curious, this is my aesthetic. The joys of being the joys of being born the day before Halloween.